November the 17th, 10:25. Let me make sure I've turned this machine on. We're going to let this machine here boot up while I do a little talking here, boys and girls. This old hick from the sticks who's not an engineer, okay? You know, somebody put a comment in one of my YouTube videos, and they are correct. White's metal detectors. They did something with a couple of their models. V3i was one. The DFX, I believe, was another. I believe it wouldn't be a bad idea for a current metal detector manufacturer to do something like this with their multi-frequency units. Now, what was this? It was called correlate. There's a correlate feature on those machines. And what you did is you got to set in an offset, meaning the different frequency the machine was transmitting would yield different ID results, possibly. Okay? And you got to set this offset number in there. So if you set the offset number, let's say to 5, the machine wouldn't sound off if the differential was, you know, didn't meet the parameters. Okay? This could be helpful in helping distinguish some junk targets. It could be helpful in locating possibly ring-shaped devices. Now, it wouldn't be a perfect system. Okay, I've been showing some videos as of late with this HF2 coil. Alright, I think this thing is booted up. We've got a gold ring here, and we've got some cancel that reads about equivalent to that gold ring. We're just going to stay in mono program here, single frequency. We're going to go all the way down to the lowest frequency here, 8.8 kilohertz. The can slaw. You see the ID of that can slaw. Okay, now we're going to go up here to 88 kilohertz. You see that can slaw. The ID didn't change, did it? I'm still in 88 kilohertz, single frequency. Now I'm over this gold ring. You see that? Now I'm going to transition back to 8.8 kilohertz. Now the gold ring reads like the can slaw. So, for me to see this with this machine, I have to switch frequency or switch multi-frequency modes. So wonder if a manufacturer had a multi-frequency mode on their machine with some lower frequency and higher frequency. Now, this wouldn't be necessarily a program you would be using probably for max depth or even necessarily max depth when it comes to target ID, but for mid depths and shallower, maybe, where you could go to one mode on this machine, if they made such a machine. It would be, maybe it would just be a mode and it would have the frequency in it. And you got to set the offset. Okay? So if you set the offset, let's say +5, you wouldn't hear that. Okay? But you would hear that. Or you wouldn't have to necessarily set offset in the machine, but it would come up in the window. It would be an option, display differential. So you would sweep that in a multi-frequency. Let's say they had a multi-frequency program running. We'll take this machine for example. What if the multi-frequency of this machine ran 9 and 80 kilohertz? And I swept that. Well, I wouldn't see a very big differential, would I? I'd look at the screen, the ID would be in the window, and it would have a differential. 0 or 1 maybe. I sweep this, I look in the screen, there's the ID. It's got a differential in there of like 5 or 6. Well, that would probably interest me. Now remember, you would be talking about a plus differential if the higher frequency was reading higher. It would be a negative differential show up in the window if the target you swept where the lower frequency was reading higher. And that would be in the case of, I showed a junk target this morning made out of that garbage. That's what you would see on such a machine. So you see, each frequency, when you're sweeping multi-frequency, we don't know it's possible because White's did it. The actual individual frequency is getting data there. And the other frequency or frequencies is getting data there. Okay? And it's coming through the little computer, whatever you want to call it, and it can be displayed to the user. But you could even have the machine set up where it wouldn't even detect that. It would detect that. It would detect a ring pull even. I believe a metal detector manufacturer needs to pursue this. All right? Probably even have it dedicated to just one mode on the machine. Call it the ring mode. All right. Could this machine, since we're using the same, see, I don't know what changes here. Wonder if this machine here had a ring mode on it and the two frequencies being transmitted. Well, I guess what we can do, let's try this right here. Let's go back to mono program. Let's just go to 13 kilohertz. So we've got 52 there, 52 there. All right. So now I'm going up into the higher echelons. We'll lower it down a little bit. There's 75.8. So we got a 1 point differential there. Look at there what we've got. We've got about a 5 point differential. So XP might be able to do something with this machine. You reckon it's possible? But if they can't do it with this machine, if they come out with another machine, they should consider this, okay? Mind Lab, Nocta, Garrett. Which one of y'all is going to do this? Because this would be very handy for a person looking for gold and platinum rings, pewter, you know, or ring-shaped devices. Now, I'm assuming the way this machine is behaving as this frequency goes up, you know, there's not any, you know, it's not rocket science, meaning this is what happens with the frequency. Okay, the frequency's causing that. All right, that's going to conclude the video. The old hick from the sticks.